So I am gonna make an amazing, quick and easy blueberry buckle today. What you're gonna need is 2 packages. I'm using 2 6-ounce packages of fresh blueberries, but if you had, say, a pound, that would probably be cool too. You can even use fresh or frozen. So it doesn't really matter exactly what type of berry that you're using. Now what I'm gonna do is put these berries in a pre-greased casserole. I've sprayed it with a little bit of canola oil. And then I'm going to take some cinnamon and sugar and just kind of sprinkle this around on the top of the berries here. And that was about a tablespoon each of cinnamon and sugar. Just give it a little bit of a mix. Make sure everybody's got a little something on them, but it's not that important because the oven is going to do all of the work when everything blends and bakes together. Now I'm going to move on to the wet ingredients. I'm going to get a separate bowl because we're not going to add this in until afterwards. And what I'm going to mix in together here is I'm going to do 1 cup of all-purpose flour and 1 cup of granulated sugar here. Hang on a second, sorry. I'm running a little bit low on sugar. Let me just, never actually pour anything over what you're making because if you have an accident, you could ruin your entire recipe. So this looks good. I mean, it doesn't have to be brimming to the complete top here. So let's add that in. And now I'm going to mix this, just slightly mix this around together, just so we can distribute everything around. And then I've taken a stick of butter and I melted this in, you could just melt it in the microwave, simple. Add this in, kind of just fold this into the mixture that you already have here. Give it a good stir. Get this out of here. And you know, it might feel like it's thick as far as mixing, but you have to remember this is going to create a nice crumbly, almost biscuit-like crust that is going to make this sort of like a crumble / cobbler that is going to be amazing for a summer recipe. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, 1 teaspoon, sorry, of baking powder. Make sure to level that off. Just sprinkle that around so that can go into the mix. And 1 cup of whole milk, which is going to give you a little bit more liquid consistency so that this can kind of spread here. And now when you mix this, you want to mix it thoroughly, but it's okay if you have a few little lumps here and there. You don't have to make sure that it is completely smooth consistency. Maybe this spatula is not the best tool. Let me move to something a little bit sturdier here. Okay. Well, this looks almost good here. Maybe just a couple more seconds. Now you're going to want to have your oven preheated to 350 degrees so that you can pop this into the oven, and while you're waiting you're going to make the topping for this, which is going to be an amazing hand blended whipped cream. So now I'm going to pour this over my blueberries, and please remember that I've already pre-sprayed this casserole with nonstick spray, just to make sure that everything doesn't stick to the bottom. Easier cleanup, easier to remove it and portion it out. Just give it a little mix here. And then what I like to do before I pop it into the oven is take a little bit more of fine granulated sugar and just sort of sprinkle it around here, like evenly all over. You don't want to do too much because you don't want it to be overly sweet, because we are going to add whipped cream, which is going to bring even more sweetness. Now once you're done with this, what you want to do is you want to put this in a 350 degree oven for 50 minutes and wait for this to bake, and go ahead and make your whipped cream while you're waiting. So now, once we have our blueberry buckle in the oven, let's go ahead and start making our whipped cream. Now what you're going to want to do is take a cup of heavy whipping cream and go ahead and add this to a bowl that is going to have high sides on there because you don't want everything to splatter all over the place before this whipped cream thickens up. And then I also like to add around a teaspoon of white sugar just to give it a little bit of sweetness. But we don't want everything to be too sweet because we already have a lot of sweetness in our blueberry buckle. So now I'm going to take my hand mixer here and turn it on, and you're going to want to start off on a lower setting. I like to bring it down to maybe about a 2 or a 3. Well, if I can, okay, there, oh, no, maybe about a 3. Okay, maybe we can go to a 4, just to get some power. Oh, maybe we should go back down to a 3, sorry. Okay, and you're gonna wanna just go ahead. Okay, now when I see that I'm starting to get some peaks here in this whipped cream, as you can see, this is gonna be perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead, turn off my mixer, and I'm going to set the whipped cream aside so that I can portion out my blueberry buckle before I top it. Now, if your blueberry buckle is not ready yet, you can go ahead and put that whipped cream into the refrigerator and keep it cold until you're ready to use it. Now, this came out of the oven and is cooled down just a little bit, so that we give everything a time to set up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut myself a nice square portion here with a nice corner piece with all the crusty action on it. And I have a plate right here. And it's gonna be a little bit sticky. That's from all the blueberries that are gonna taste amazing. Go. And then we can go ahead and take some of our whipped cream, which we're going to add back in on top of the dessert. And if we move this out of the way a little bit, go ahead and just top this off with however much of this amazing whipped cream that you want to. And go ahead and try a bite, which was what I've been waiting for since I've been smelling this cooking in the oven for 50 minutes. Amazing. Perfect dessert.